pretty dominant from mouz game 1. Hopefully, Alternate can change up their style a little bit. But I have a feeling that we're going to be seeing a lot of similar bans come in, though, because Alternate's bans game number 1 were actually very sound.
They have first pick now, so they might leave something open. See if they can, get something with that first pick. But we'll see. There's a lot of really strong champions right now. It's interesting, though. Amumu wasn't banned last game, and there's some champions that we've seen that are really popular in the NA scene and around the world that were open, that weren't taken. So I'd be interested to see if there's more of an AoE team from Alternate or from either of these teams. But we'll have to see. Same bans so far, though. Evelyn actually being added from mouz, so they don't want to see Alternate get that pick.
Twisted Fate also going to be beating the ban hammer once again. So,
and again, you make IPLLoL uncomfortable, and maybe he collapses. So that's what mouz is going for right now.
So at the very least, mouz will be leaving available Zed or Lee Sin. So Alternate sticking with the same bans in game number 1. So if Zed or Lee Sin is made open, I think the probability is actually pretty high that Alternate will take either Zed, chose to be banned out. I'm expecting a Lee Sin here. There it is.
Yeah, Lee Sin's definitely a really strong champion right now, but there's a lot of possibilities for mouz right now. So they could go with that AoE. They could, pick up a couple of those same champions as last game. Xin was dominant last game.
Oh, yeah.
He got the quick, Warmogs, and they just couldn't touch him. So they're going to keep up with that. They're very happy with that pick. They could go with the Jace as well. It's a safe pick, but they last picked Jace last time. So we'll see, kind of what they take if they want that Ashe or Janna, if they pick up the Janna here.
I'm considering this too, seeing as it was popular for a while, dipped down a little bit in popularity, but Lee Sin mid. We saw Jace go mid last game. Do you think it might actually be a possibility here?
They actually might go for the Caitlyn Nunu. It is always a possibility. Froggen, he popularized it, but we've seen Lee Sin all over the place. So as for Fnatic, was just ridiculous as Lee Sin in the top lane. Arguably the best Lee Sin player in the world. The things he could do with his Q and shield combos were really cool to see. So we'll see. That's definitely a possibility. Bruisers are just really strong. You can play them in the mid lane right now. And, that could maybe open up another jungler, like an AoE jungler. We'll have to see, though. We have to expect right now that it's going to be in the jungle. They actually grabbed the Caitlyn. Wow.
Yeah.
So I was kind of curious on this because Nunu is picked up for mouz, and they're expecting to get the Caitlyn Nunu. Like, that's why you grab Nunu. And Caitlyn Nunu is just ridiculous right now. It's arguably the strongest AD carry and support combo in the game. And late game, Caitlyn is one of the best late game AD carries right now because of her range and because all the other late game AD carries just aren't safe. They can't get out of, they don't have the range or survivability that Caitlyn has. And so Alternate actually picks up Caitlyn to get that away from that Caitlyn Nunu combo. They don't want to allow mouz to have that combo. And usually you don't like to get Caitlyn outside of Nunu. Like Doublelift for CLGNA has actually said that he will not play Caitlyn without Nunu support because he doesn't believe that Caitlyn is strong enough without the Blood Boil. However, Alternate grabs her anyway. She's still very strong, but they grab her just to prevent that Uber combo, and we'll see what they can do with her.
I have to imagine, though, what mouz will do in response. And actually, Ashe is actually a really common combo that
we've seen a lot of Ashe Nunu too.
I remember the old Curse EU is actually one of their favorite bot lanes, and it's also equally as devastating.
Well, and it's because Ashe still has some of the longest range in the game. She doesn't have the same survivability that Caitlyn does. Caitlyn has slightly longer range and also has the net to get out of there, but the long range makes that a viable choice.
Yep. And Katarina come in for mouz, but at this point in the game, it's still ambiguous. That could be a top lane Katarina.
Well, we've seen a lot of top lane Katarina, particularly on the NA scene. Voyboy loves top lane Katarina. There's a couple other players who play it as well. So we'll have to see. Now the only question is, what are they going to put IPLLoL on in the mid lane? It could be that Zyra. That'd be unusual. Zyra usually is played as a counter pick. Zyra does decently against Cat, but the Shimpo makes that kind of difficult. I'd be interested to see if they maybe go with like a Orianna. For IPLLoL in that mid lane, but we'll have to see.
And
maybe
it's kind of a mishmash of a lot of stuff here. I'd be tempted to say that's a Zyra support, even though we talked.
Yeah, no, it's probably a Zyra
We
support.
talked about it a little bit game one as to why you don't see Zyra support a whole lot. We will see if alternate can counteract the recent nerfs. Nidalee mid has also been coming back a little bit as well. We've been seeing she's actually been playing a little bit, a little bit more in the mid. She's still seen in top lane also for some of the split pushing. But
I actually really don't like Nidalee mid actually right now with the recent patch for a couple of reasons I'll get into if this is actually a Nidalee mid. She's very strong in that top lane. I mean, we've seen people have realized you don't actually have to get damage on Nidalee. You can just play her as a bruiser. The issue with Nidalee mid is AD carries. They already have seen a big nerf to some of those AP carries have seen a big nerf to some of those AP items, and Nidalee is very reliant on the spear damage. You get a lot of farm in the mid lane. It's a passive game early on, so it allows you to get quickly into those spears. But against a bruiser team, you don't do enough damage as Nidalee a lot of times, and then the initiation from the likes of Malphite and Ashe, they're going to force fights, and that is the shutdown to poke teams. They need to be able to kite effectively, and that's what they have right now. Alternate has a poke team. They have Jace, Caitlyn, and Nidalee, and Zyra as well. So it's a really strong poke team. However, Ashe and Malphite, that's actually a really good those are good champions to have against a poke team because they try and kite you. You just throw off an Ashe arrow, you follow up with Malphite, you burst someone down. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can do here. But if they can bait out, if they can survive the initiation from Ashe and Malphite, then they're going to be able to win those exchanges a lot of times because they have such a strong poke and kite team.
Right.
But it's going to be interesting to see what they can do with it.
That's a big if though, because you know what's going to happen following up the Malphite ult, and that's going to be a Katarina ult. And if given plenty of time, which the Malphite ult does allow, that's plenty of damage. And remember, we said this game number one too. If you have an Ashe arrow, that means your team dictates when the fights happen. And at the very least, that's a guaranteed pickoff on one member of alternate.
And Pharrell Lord using exactly the same runes and masteries as the previous game. So he has a lot of ability power. He has that mana regen and those offensive masteries. No defense at all. So, Katarina could maybe harass him some there. Nidalee tends to win the lane against Katarina because you can just sit back, heal any harass, and then melee versus melee, Nidalee wins except when Katarina's using the ultimate. So that's the concern. But we'll see. It could be kind of scary. He's going to be squishy once again. But if alternate can kite effectively, then they have a really strong late game kite team. And that's Caitlyn in particular. Caitlyn is just devastating late game if they can farm late enough and slow. That's what they want to do. They want to play a nice, slow, long game, and the longer this game goes, the more that alternate's going to be able to do. The more the stronger their late game is going to be. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can do.
Yeah, and it was similar to the game plan they were hoping for in game number one. Did not quite get there. See if they can make the game go by a little bit longer this time around. And also with when you have a champ like Nidalee, when you have champs like Lee Sin that are actually pretty slippery, that also does open up the opportunities for the split push. If you are so inclined and if you are safely enough in the lead. I think that's the first time I've actually seen someone put a point in Artificer.
Yeah, it's interesting. This is Warhunter, so he's playing Cat, and he's playing Cat with Teleport.
Oh.
So he has Teleport, he has the Teleport Summoner, but he also has Mastermind, so 10% cooldown off of Teleport. That's actually really interesting. It's going to be up pretty quickly. He has movement speed as well, so he is the Wanderer. He likes to wander around and round and round, but he's going to have a lot of damage early on, and I'm curious if they're going to try and force anything interesting there. If they want to, they know that Alternate wants to slow down the game. If Mouz is just going to look for some really aggressive early plays. So that could be pretty cool to watch what Warhunter does with that Katarina.
Yeah, and the common Katarina that we build that we've been seeing a lot of is haunting guys into Leandries and the Magic Pen boots. Way back when, before the nerfs started coming around to DFG, DFG was the prime number one first buy item for Cat. And I gotta say, with Warhunter taking that point in Artificer, might be bringing it back.
Yeah, maybe. That'd be interesting. I mean, honestly, no one's been buying DFG for a while, and it's going to be interesting to see what he gets for that. There are some interesting new active items. There's the what's the one that summons the little ghouls to slow people?
The Twin Shadows.
The Twin Shadows. I haven't seen that see a lot of use, but the stats of it are pretty enticing. Whenever I look at that item, I'm like, wow, it gives you movement speed, ability power, and magic resist.
And it builds off of GP10.
And it builds off of GP10. Like that build path and the stats that it gives you are awesome. Like that is a really cool item. I just honestly am not that big of a fan of the active, but it'll be interesting to see how that item people start to use it. Maybe I know Riot's looking to buff it with this the PBE patch. It's actually buffed a little bit, but I don't know. I'm curious to see what he's going to do with that.
We'll see. We'll see what comes here. Game number 2 now starting between Alternate and mouz. We saw the massacre game number 1. Hopefully, game 2 will not be as such for Alternate, because if they lose here, they will be knocked down, and they will have the first kings of the killing spree for the EU side going to mouz Esports. But got to get through it first. $300 on the line, and mouz starting out blood boiled. Xin Zhao straight away aggressive ward once again. Attempt on the red. They did it game number 1. It worked out really well for him. Nice ward over into side brush by the Wraiths. And Alternate camping out mouz's jungle, waiting for them to double back. This is a Xin. He could start red. He could start blue. It's his option. But going for an equally placed ward. Same spot. Just mirrored images on both sides of the map here. Same wards in the same spots on both sides by opposing teams.
Yeah, early wards in this game are really strong, and it's very safe. You get so many wards. Like, look, this is not something we used to see. All these wards.
Caitlyn trap cupcake. Too enticing for Malphite.
Yeah, both teams have, or Caitlyn and Nidalee getting those early traps to try and keep vision. I like this Nidalee trap here for when the race spawn. They'll get vision there. So if they were going for the race, they would at least see them there. But yeah, so everyone kind of backs off. It's going to be a standard jungle start. mouz, all 5 of them are here, though. They haven't split. Okay, Youngbuck just split now. But mouz is sending their top lane. It's a 2v1 up top, and they're coming for a really late invade on this blue. Jace just barely sees them, so he's going to get out of there, but they're still going to be able to steal this blue.
Yeah, Kerp knows he's in a bad spot. Wisely drops a ward, so at the very least they know the state of their blue buff. Kerp may actually go for a steal attempt.
Yeah, he has to be going for a steal, because otherwise he would have kept the blue. Oh man.
That was quick.
It was kind of surprising to see him drop that ward, because he needs that ward to keep safe in that lane. He knows in a 2v1 they're going to push into him, so he should be okay. But by dropping the ward, he's trying to go for it. They just killed it way too quickly, and that's Ashe's level 1 burst damage. Nunu, along with Xin, that's just a lot of damage quickly.
Lane swaps in effect once again. Ashe, Nunu in top lane. Malphite down bot in the 2v1s. Jason in 2v1 and Malphite in 2v1. Who seems to do better in these kinds of setups?
Well, Jace definitely is safer. They both have AoE clear, but Malphite needs to get into melee range for that AoE clear. And so Malphite, a lot of times, he gets tanky enough that he can do that, but he's going against a snare and a trap. So a lot of times you'll see Malphite just walk up to the range minions, just AoE them really quickly. However, he has to watch out that Jayri is going to throw his snare, and then Metalix is going to follow it up with a trap underneath him, and they're going to get a lot of quick damage. And they actually don't even care. They completely ignore Youngbuck and already take a massive chunk out of that turret. So that's going to be dangerous. Caitlyn, that's a really aggressive pushing lane. Jace, his turret's safe right now, but they could go for this gank. And this is actually really common when you're running that 2v1 to have the jungler come in for that 3-minute mark. He's still level 1, and it's level 3 and level 3 in this lane, or level 2 right now. This is an easy kill.
Xin straight for the dive. 1 waiting for the pop-ups to come in. Kuja taking the tower, and first blood going to the Ashe, but Xin did get very low in that engage, but should be just fine. The kill, absolutely worth it.
Yeah, and a lot of times you'll see the jungler come up to try and protect your top lane in that situation, because you know that gank is coming. Lee Sin, instead, he ignores it. He sees them up top. He gets the blue really quickly. Warhunter in a tough spot now. Lee Sin's trying to get in, but there's Xin as well, and Xin's going to win this exchange.
Can he get there in time to shield the pop-up
mid-air?
Very well done by Xin. For Lord, can you live the red buff? Keeping everyone slow, keeping behind, and Warhunter with a Shunpo. Quick damage, double kill for Katarina. Deja vu, it appears to be.
Yeah, and they actually dropped the turret because of that kill. So even if Caitlyn's better at pushing, that quick level 3 gank, it's just the perfect timing. mouz does a great job of taking that opportunity and capitalizing on it. So they get that turret, they get the snowball in mid lane, and mouz already is looking dominant in this game. Bot lane for alternate looking really strong, though. They get that turret. That's really going to help them a lot. They really needed that. But the concern is, look at this mid turret. This is half down. It could almost drop right now already.
This is insane. Where did mouz come from? This is their coordination is so on point so early on in this game. The Xin ganks have been on time all the time. The early tower and top, they're about to they're about to get mid too, given the right push. You can just throw 2 guys mid, muscle up for Realm Lord, and that's another tower gone before 6 minutes.
If they send Ashe mid, then they will be able to bully them off of that mid lane because they're going to be able to just threaten the ultimate from Ashe and take that turret. They leave it up for now, but it's really close to going down. And it's interesting, if mouz pulls off to an early lead, then we had talked about the late game for alternate can be very strong with that Kite team and how strong Caitlyn is. However, mouz, they have a really, really strong initiation in AoE, and that is easily going to win the mid game if they have any sort of lead. And Nidalee in particular, as a mid champion, she might be really strong as you get items into the late game. Mid game, not her forte. And Realm Lord, if he falls behind, he's not going to have a compelling catch-up mechanic to get alternate back into this game.
Yep, said it before, say it again. In order to win the late game, you have to get there first. For Realm Lord, not quite level 6, but same thing with Katarina, but should be there soon. That is a ward to find the Xin coming, charging straight towards you. That is the Shunpo, plenty of damage out of Realm Lord, and the pop-up, one more shot.
Quick
that is
dodge from
kill.
Cat.
Nice dodge from Cat. Warhunter will be safe. Shunpo back to the minion wave. RNA, I hope he can defend this. You see Zyra actually realigning to the mid lane, just to make sure that the mid tier 1 does not fall as quickly as they would, as mouz would like it to.
Yeah, it's. I don't think they're actually trying to push it down. So by keeping that turret up, they actually keep a long laning phase right there. They could take it as a team, but they're going straight for this dragon. They're going to be able to grab this fairly easily. Metalex can get some quick damage. Kuja's getting pretty low. They have to watch out about that. The dragon damage a little too much, but they do pick it up. That quick Madreds on Xin easily enough to grab that. So they actually get the mid as well. That is a massive gold advantage. 4K gold advantage just before the 7-minute mark. 4K gold advantage. That is absurd right now for mouz.
4 kills up, 1 turret up, 1 dragon up equals to 4,000 gold, and to have that pre-10 minutes is...
Oh, for Realm Lord, you have to watch out. There's the ult for Youngbuck going to be coming any second now. Warhunter is very low, though. I'm surprised they're going in for this. There's the quick kill, and Lee Sin just not quite in range.
The body block keeps Katarina safe from the Q, but the follow-up in the Tempest, Arnea does, at the very least, grab the kill, but it's still a 1-for-1 trade, both of the APs down. So that's still a good position for mouz, just getting Arnea a kill. It's kind of like, hey, you have a free one. We don't care if we give you up a free kill. We just want to keep Realm Lord down. He's still not level 6.
Yeah, that's really dangerous for them right now. I mean, they've really lost the mid lane very hard against mouz in both games, and it's completely snowballed this game. Now mouz going for this blue steal. They're going to take this easily. They're in a strong enough position, and they know they have a ward here, and they have that teleport on Warhunter. He's actually coming in. He's going in bot, actually. There's the Ashe. They have J-Re split. He's going to drop down. That's an easy kill there. Caitlyn tries to pick up the kill and does on Ashe, but in the meantime, this blue, it's going off for a little bit.
For Realm Lord, now finally level 6, now in Cougar form. Xin getting very low, but Youngbuck doing great control, but cannot keep the Xin alive. That is a blue buff given back over to alternate. For Realm Lord, having that one, he needs that blue badly.
That's a great opportunity for alternate, particularly knowing that Katarina went in the bot lane. Metalex was slowed, though. Warhunter coming in for him. He's going to be able to pick this up underneath the turret. There's the ultimate. Metalex actually uses the barrier. If he turns that around, that would be incredible, but he does go down. And I'm wondering what the communication was with mouz, because I think that Lee Sin and Malphite, they went for...
Oh, wow, nice spear from Realm Lord, and he's hungry for more. Cougar form trying to catch up with Warhunter. Recall in the bush. No, you have to get in the bush first. But Caitlyn Trap keeps Warhunter still. For Realm Lord, this is be a great opportunity. One more spear, but no, the minion line will prevent it. He's flashing for that kill. He wants this. He knows he needs it in order to catch up and grabs it now, finally, even in levels with Katarina.
Yeah, that's a great play from IPLLoL getting down there. The flash over from Xin. He's trying to force this, but can't quite get in range. And Nidalee has that great mobility that he just used there. But I'm curious, the last fight at the blue, Alternate did a great job of taking advantage of Katarina using the teleport. And I'm wondering if Lee Sin and Malphite kind of expected that they would have that Katarina at the blue. And then just kind of agreed, yeah, you can go bot. And we're a little bit surprised by how much damage the Nidalee did along with Jace.
This is Alternate's time to try and bring back the gold. 3 members with a huge wave take out the tier 1. J-Ree finds Kuja alone in his jungle. Pop up from Zyral, kick backwards from Aranea, and that is another kill for IPLLoL. He has done a great job. It is now caught up to the Katarina, just a few creeps behind, and now another blue buff. Fantastic work. Alternate now coming back into this.
Back with a vengeance, and Mal's has to watch out right now. They had a massive early game advantage. If they gave this back to Alternate, that would be incredible. But Alternate is making some really big plays right now in order to come back. And this game, it seemed like it was already over, and now all of a sudden they're swinging it back in their favor. They have 2 turrets down themselves, so they're even in turrets right now. So it negated some of the early advantage that Mal's had, but it's still not over. Alternate still is in a tough spot because Caitlyn is behind Ashe right now based on those early turrets and whatnot. They're pretty close in gold, actually. They've kept up even in farm, but I don't know, we'll kind of see what can happen with these 2 teams. The initiation for Mal's is still going to be very scary if Alternate can't avoid that.
Right, and one caught out individual from Alternate can swing everything straight back into Mouse's favor. If Realm Lord gets caught out again, if Metalix is down, or if Kerp goes down, that just gives them more room to pressure down more towers, pressure down more objectives, snatch up the Dragon again. As the game starts to drag on, too, that makes the Baron available. And I would hate to see Alternate try and go for a Baron later on in the game and everyone gets Malphite ulted in the pit. That would be unfortunate, but hopefully that doesn't happen. Still got a few minutes before that's even possible, and Ashe now choking down the tier 1 in bot. Young Buck eating a spear to the face, but Mal's doing pretty good, zoning out Alternate from defending their tier 1. Got what they wanted, now backing off.
Well, they get the 4 for 1 there, or they get the 4-man push on that turret. They're going to grab that easily. Kerp backing off a little bit. Xin had a lot of damage. If he was a little bit higher on mana, he actually might have gone in for that kill, but doesn't want to give up that lane too easily, so he's going to be safe there. And we'll see if Mal's actually tries to force it. They're grouped. They could potentially try and pick someone off with that Ashe arrow.
They could. Ashe arrow's up, Malphite ult up, Katarina ult up. All the ults are up. And Realm Lord does have the Cougar form available too, just in case you need a quick escape. Heading on in, 12 minutes in. Still a hefty 3K lead for Mouz, though. A few more pickups, another pickup or 2 from Alternate can still keep them in this, and those spears, that any spear, you hit the far end on that one, they still hurt. They still hurt immensely.
Yeah, the spears really do a lot of damage right now. The concern is if they're not hitting them, then really Nidalee only has the melee damage, which is really strong in skirmishes, but in a full 5-on-5 team fight, that can be kind of dangerous right now. But for IPLLoL, he's chucking away and he's hitting them, so he's in a good situation right here. Xin almost going down. Kerp actually flashes and dives in for this kill.
He is slowed, does grab the red buff, but the tower will not be enough to take him out. It could be a Malphite opportunity, though. He does have flash and ult available, and J-Ree actually starting on the Dragon while everyone from Mouz is somewhat occupied with other things. Actually, a presence from Mouz in all 3 lanes. That's proper vision, and Alternate knows it is time to take that Dragon.
Well, it's just insane to me how quickly Alternate has turned this game around, because Mouz had a 4K gold advantage just before the 7-minute mark, and now all of a sudden it's just a 1.5K gold advantage, but it feels like Alternate is in control of the map right now. They're just bullying around Mouz. It's really wild, some of the plays that Alternate have done, and a lot of it is stemming from IPLLoL. But it's, the whole team is just very mobile right now. They're not sitting in the lane. They're moving around constantly, pushing objectives, and Mouz doesn't seem to have much of a response. But look at the wards and traps right now. This is what the game has become with the nerf to oracles in particular. Just wards all over the place with the sight stones and everything. It's absurd how much map vision there is for both of these teams.
And Mouz, oracles would benefit them, but remember though, a lot of people are not buying anymore. It is now only a temporary effect, but if they get caught out in their own jungle, they may find it'd be maybe reasonable time to pick one up, just to the very least get one single wave clear of all the wards in their own side of the jungle. Could turn around for them, but for now though, the vision of the map belongs to Alternate. Prothana looking for the volley over the wall, and the rest of mouz, with the exception of Katarina, is here in mid pushing.
And they're pushing because now this is the key timing for mouz. Ashe has the Bloodthirster, so she's done. Xin has the Warmog, so he is incredibly tanky, and I don't know that Alternate has enough damage to take them down. Katarina is split pushing right now. Prothana taking a lot of damage, but we'll see if Alternate tries to force this, because I think mouz is at the advantage right now, particularly with Nidalee split, and they have their items done. They know Xin is a god right now, and it's all about them pushing and then just forcing a fight with the Ashe Arrow into the Malphite.
And you see all of mouz backed off, and Katarina goes in down on the bot lane turret. Tier 2 being attacked currently. It's still a lot of work to be done. Warhunter's got his job set out for him, but we'll see if the rest of the team can actually buy enough time with this push here in mid. Metal X has actually been drawn away from mid, has to go down bot, has to deal with the push, otherwise the threat of losing that tower is very real. It is at half health.
Yeah, and I'm kind of waiting for mouz to just force a fight, and thinking that that's a possibility anytime. You saw Ashe did take a lot of damage from that Caitlyn, so Ashe does have to worry. She is very squishy at this point in the game, but that Bloodthirster allows her to heal back up from some of that poke, so they've kept themselves at really high health. There's the initiation, though. They could go for this.
Malphite ult followed up with the arrow. Ferelden brought down about 200 health, and Youngbuck is hungry for that one, but he's too far away from the rest of the team. mouz could not follow up with the damage they needed.
Yeah, it was just a little bit too much mobility from Ferelden, and that's the concern. The kiting for Alternate is very strong, and like we said earlier, if they can kite out those ultimates from mouz, then they're going to be able to win these late game exchanges just with their slong, or low or slow poke game, and with that Caitlyn. And for them to use all of those ultimates and not be able to take down Nidalee is very scary, particularly since Zyra did such a good job of splitting. Zyra, her ultimate and her snare that's what allowed them to kill Youngbuck there. They split the whole team. They didn't want to fight underneath that turret. So we'll see if they can continue that up, but that has to be scary for mouz.
Xin caught by his own blue. Ferelden taking some free damage, but cannot steal. Actually, that was not a steal on the blue.
No, he tried, but Xin did get it.
Xin did pick it up. Kerp over the wall, plenty of damage.
To the Nunu. This is like ARAM, honestly, because that's what happens in ARAM. You run Caitlyn, or if you're not randoming, if you just pick in the middle map, then you run Caitlyn, Nidalee, like Lux, that kind of stuff, and you just try and hit your spears at the same time. That's exactly what they just did. If Caitlyn was there, a Nidalee spear into a Jace shot along with the Caitlyn ult, that's going to kill almost anyone in this game.
Warhammer, still not present in the mid, is convinced that he can take down that bot tier 2, waiting to see if the rest of mouz can kill enough time for him to clear the gap. That is a pretty hefty wave, though, and plenty of time. Bot and Jace actually making his way down, but it will be too late. The tier 2 and bot now taken out by mouz. Just a matter of Warhunter getting out alive, and I think he will be able to.
Yeah, mouz or Alternate split right now. There's actually the Ashe, the hawk shot, so they get the vision. They know there's only 3 people there. If they force the fight right now, it would be really great for them, but it is a long range, so they might not go for it.
All right, dove, following the queue into the Wraith Pit, did not know that the Katarina was quite there. It's like, oh, damn, that's a bad situation for me to be in. Xin still taking plenty of damage, though. Xin has a lot of health with that Warmogs, but only the Null Magic Mantle in terms of magic defense, so those Nidalee Spears will still hurt quite a bit.
Yeah, it's really dangerous for them right now, how much damage they're taking from this poke. It's working out perfectly for Alternate. The concern for Alternate is if mouz gets strong enough that they can just force objectives and ignore that poke, then really quickly that could turn in their favor. But Alternate has been just making plays left and right in this game. Warhunter in a dangerous spot, now bot, because they're all collapsing onto him. He has his teleport, but Kerp can prevent him from using that, and he has the red buff there.
There you go, the hammer swing has been used. Warhunter, that's his time to go and try for the ultimate, but there's the Ashe Arrow limboed below. Aranea keeping Prothana away from the rest of the team. Barrier used, but is not enough. Quick snipe onto the Ashe. Tried to save the Katarina and did, but lost his life in the process. And Aranea still hungry, leading the charge. Q on the Youngbuck, waiting for the slow to keep him behind. He does have the ultimate still up. And Young Buck could start the turnaround here. Caitlyn ult blocked, will keep the Katarina safe once again, and mouz pushed back to their tier 2 and bot.
mouz can't engage on them right now. Alternate is just bullying them around. mouz is running away in fear, basically. So it's really interesting to see Ashe trying to get down bot to protect Katarina. Found herself out of position. Lee Sin made a great play to knock her back. And now Alternate is just in complete control of the game. There is, for the first time in this game, Alternate in the lead right now. 28.8 over 28.7.
It's 100 gold, but it counts.
They've finally retaken the lead after that early advantage from mouz. And it's so shocking for mouz to have been in such a dominant position, and now for Alternate to be playing just so hard and winning with this Poke and Kite team.
Katarina, now satisfied with the top lane, bottom lane tower kill, is now up top, pushing to wave, trying to get the tower tier 2 in top. And the rest of the team, mouz, they put plenty of damage on a tier 2 in mid previously. Come on in, finish the job. Not everyone was present from Alternate, so they were able to eke that one out. And now transitioning over to Alternate's blue, maybe going for a camp out, setting up some tents.
Well, they have to watch out because they're actually split by this wall, so if Alternate tries to force a fight here, they're really not in good position, or mouz isn't, but they are starting to group up again, and they know they are able to secure that blue. They still have really good ultimates, so mouz, or Alternate really doesn't want to fight in these small little tight areas of the jungle because the Malphite would just destroy them. So they do back off for a second, but mouz, they might try and force something because there's not very good vision right now for Alternate.
Pink ward went down, cleared the blue buff ward earlier. Arena looking for damage, and Jace Q does seem to find out the Xin in the bush. They know someone's there. They don't know who's there or how many are there, but they know someone's there, and that is the right call from Alternate to back off just for a second before they go and transition back into the mid.
Yeah, and it seems that he's actually going to be going bot, so he's going to be able to pick up some of this farm, continue with this wave that's pushing bot, so that's going to be nice for him. Caitlyn will counter that out pretty easily, but both teams slowing it down a little bit. mouz looking for their opportunities, and Alternate's just countering them every step of the way. And with the double Sightstone, which I love personally, I think that's a big opportunity to get it on both supports and junglers a lot of situations because it's such an efficient item.
It is.
And particularly on Lee Sin, since he just wants to drop wards all the time in combat anyway. They just have so much vision right now. They have vision over the top. They could drop a couple more wards down bot, but they have generally really good vision that's preventing mouz from being able to force the fights that they want.
It seems we've mentioned a little bit about split pushing in Champ Select, and it seems that mouz is actually being a little bit more proactive actually in that part. Seeing as considering that Alternate has the right champ picks, which are more better suited for split pushing, like you have the Nidalee specifically.
Yeah, but with that teleport on Katarina, you do expect Jace to be able to counter out that Katarina pretty easily. He can just 1v1 her in lane and then stop the teleport. But if they can use the teleport effectively, it can open up some cool opportunities for them.
Realm Lord throwing more blind spears. Hey, any catch is free at this point. It's not the longest cooldown in the world either, so you might as well throw down a freebie. You might catch a good catch right there, like on Young Buck. Plenty of damage on the Malphite, just negating the shield entirely. Give him a few seconds until that comes back up.
Well, that's all Nidalee's goal is, to chuck spears and see what she can get. But, mouz, it's interesting. They have such a strong initiation team, and yet they're very scared. There's the Ashe Arrow trying to get it from away from the vision, so they knew it was a blind spot. And that's actually a really good call on their part, because if you throw it down the lane, a lot of times it's easy to dodge. So that's a tough Ashe Arrow to dodge, but it was just not very well placed, actually. So they do have to back off. And now with that Ashe Arrow done, Alternate knows that they're very safe for the next minute.
Muramana. Now all the stacks available for Kerps. That's plenty more damage in these team fights. This man is going to be a little bit lower than usual, but the damage is totally worth it at this point. And Young Buck leading the charge. They know Jace is over on the side, at the very least. They saw the shots earlier to know he's still there. There is a small split from Alternate that a Malphite ult can completely disrupt. It's just a matter of timing and a matter of getting all the members of Alternate you want in one big Malphite ult.
Well, and right now, you're starting to see the poke isn't quite as effective for Alternate as it used to be. Nidalee's still doing a lot of damage, but Young Buck's pretty tanky. There's actually a lot of burst right there. They're trying to go for it. Can't quite pick up that kill.
I thought that was it.
It does force them back. But if if mouz starts to survive through that poke a little bit more, it could open them up to a little bit more bruiser fights. So we'll have to see what kind of happens there.
I swear I thought Young Buck was going to go in because you had 3 members of alternate in that choke point over on the bottom side of the jungle. But mouz decided to play it safe, not go for it, but they will lose their tier 2 in mid in exchange. Alternate happy with what they got, backs off. Dragon maybe actually coming back up in just a little bit, but there's also the blue buff to be taken away from mouz. That is the Ash Arrow. Kerp immediately gets rid of it with the cleanse. Perfect timing.
Yeah, so that's a really nice play on his part, and it's interesting to see, a top lane, so that Jace go with that cleanse, but he does, and now mouz, knowing they had them split off for the blue, they're going for the really fast mid push. They're seeing if they can just force it before alternate can get back in time, get some damage at the very least, and Xin, he's just going to tank it right away with that Warmogs. This is a great play for mouz right now, but it does open them up to a counter push from alternate.
Xin brought down to half health on the tower alone. The damage into speed is not there for mouz to take out that tower right quick, but it does bring it down about a third. So for the next push to come on out, they'll at the very least make the job quicker for mouz to pull off, and they have no choice. They have to back off and allow alternate the room to push back up here in the mid with all of that poke damage.
Well, alternate did a great job of getting back in time. There's the quick damage, the insta spear into the Jace combo. That's what we were talking about earlier, is if they both hit it at the same time, that's a lot of burst. And now with Ash down, alternate is just going to have their way with mouz right now. Oh, that is incredible. Like for them to turn this around, and now they're going to be able to push in. We'll see what they can do as far as push here.
The big damage. The big damage. That was a 2-shot kill on the Ash, but Malphite, considering this could be a last snare, throws down the ultimate on nearly all of alternate. Katarina ult does what she can, but it is not enough. Young Buck does go down. Kuja off on the side, running around in circles, and Warhammer, amazingly enough, managed to get away back to base alive. Somehow Kerp goes down. There is the Ash Arrow coming in for Realm Lord stun. Xin Zhao, can you make it out alive? Prathana is back, considering that embarrassing death over in the side brush. Wants some revenge. Xin is hungry, does not care if he dies. Aranea, though, picks up the kill with less than 100 health. Warhunter, though, double kill with the Sinister Steel, now on the hunt, trying to find out that Nidalee eats a spear to the face for Realm Lord, dancing back and forth, trying to make the best of the situation. Heal brings him back up to full, but Prothana's way too far out away for Realm Lord. Looking for the prey, flashing in, barrier used. Prathana, can you live off of this one? It does not appear to be, but killing time. Wait for Katarina, comes back in with the ultimate for the shutdown onto the Nidalee.
Wow, great turnaround from mouz there. They do lose their turret, but the inhibitor is still up.
Wow.
And it's this really just an intense game right now because alternate is just playing this to perfection. They have that really strong kite team, and you saw in the team fight, Malphite, he ulted in, he initiated, and alternate, they just all cycle out very easily. They just all back away from that damage and then just slowly, as they're retreating, burst people down. And it's worked out very effectively for them. mouz, it's going to be interesting to see if they can turn this around. The Warhunter are a little bit low, but they are going to be able to secure this dragon, or they should be able to. Zin's there, so he's going to have that smite. Jace trying to steal it, doesn't quite get it in time, so they do take it, and they actually save the smite in case there's a Baron fight.
It's plenty of damage on the Warhammer, though. This is dangerous for both sides of the coin here, because we've seen how much damage alternate is capable of. We saw the two-shot onto Ashe in a warded
That's
rush.
what they're looking for. They're looking to combo those abilities and just, insta-kill someone. Caitlyn as well has that potential.
But you see that there is still plenty of teamfight control in mouz, though. With those ultimates, with the synergy, there is still plenty of time you can actually delay pushes and still manage to snipe off a wayward champ or two. We have to wait and see, and mouz now getting in position. Pink wards, in effect, clearing out everything that alternate has placed over in the river by Baron. There is still one ward, though, in that bot brush, and unfortunately, the way that one particular brush works, it's a little weird, and the Ash Arrow completely missing the mark on all members of alternate, but it should be coming back up in just a few moments.
Yeah, it is a short cooldown, but that's really rough because honestly, I think I've only seen Ashe hit one arrow this game, and it didn't work out for them because it was the arrow on Nidalee mid, and she was able to retreat, and Young Buck actually died because of it. But if they can't hit those arrows for initiation, then they're very weak for the next period of time. It's actually, it's about a minute left. So for the next minute, Alternate knows they're in a position of strength right now, and they really need to just start hitting those arrows in order to be able to make things happen.
Yeah, and we said in Champ Select 2 that those Ash arrows dictate when the fights happen, but that is hit or miss. If you hit, you start the fight. If you miss, you're in trouble for the next minute and a half.
Yeah, now Alternate starting up here, they are going to try and hit them over this wall. So it's a very dangerous spot for them if they can pick anyone off. But they will be able to push in. It is pretty slow. Ash is close to getting up that arrow, so it could be a good situation for mouz. But we'll see how much damage Alternate can do before this fight starts.
Yep, give it about 20 more. So Kuja almost going down. Spear alone. The J shot cannot clear the gap either.
And now they have to leave.
Away. They have no choice. They have to.
That's the danger with the poke team, is they have to leave now. They have to just let up this turret because Nunu had to leave. It's a 4v5. They can't fight the 4v5. So they, really quickly are going to lose turrets from those pokes.
Young Bucks still staying behind. Same thing with the Xin and the Ashe. And it's basically just a few members Alternate over on site. Prathana getting very low. The Caitlyn ult. There is the Caitlyn shot, the Caitlyn Q actually. But there is the Ashe arrow keeping Metal X behind. And again,
well,
down.
It was a great play from Metal X because he could have killed Ashe there. He easily could have killed Ashe, but he was safe. He knew that the Ashe arrow was incoming, so he backed out of turret range for a second, stopped attacking, and he wasn't tanking the turret when he hit that Ashe arrow, so he was able to keep himself alive. He didn't force the fight. He knows they don't need to force anything. They can just slowly poke down mouz and win exchanges that way as long as they're playing safe.
Kujin now back off on the side, throws a ward down, is immediately taken out by RNA. Placed right on top of him. Young Buck taking free damage, just getting rid of the ultimates in WarCC. Warhunter getting in a very bad spot, but manages to shunpo back to a ward inside the base, but needs to heal up, and that is time killed for Alternate to continue their push here in the top lane.
Yeah, and mouz doesn't have a really strong way of stopping them. And it's interesting to note that Alternate right now, they're pushing the top lane as opposed to this mid inhibitor. And the big reason for that is once they come into this mid inhibitor, they're in an enclosed space, and it gives mouz a much easier time of engaging on this enclosed space because they have to walk through the narrow openings. Whereas if they're pushing an outer turret, they still have a little bit more of an opening. They have a little bit more space there to avoid the Malphite ultimate and to retreat. And so they're not going for that mid inhibitor. It's actually kind of interesting that they're still being safe. They're really concerned that if they allow mouz one good fight and mouz aces them or something like that, that could instantly turn the game against Alternate. And that's always what you have to worry about with the poke team, is one fight for the enemy team instantly turns the game against you. So Alternate still being very safe despite that exposed inhibitor.
And we talked a little bit about Alternate's late game, and one thing that comes with the late game is all the good items that you can purchase up. And we see right now on the support Zyra that is a Crucible, which essentially renders the Ashe arrow now useless from this point on. Someone gets Ashe arrowed. Well, that's unfortunate. Here, have this active. You are healed. mouz is
just going to force this Baron, though. They have Cat Split pushing bot. There's the pings going off.
Oh, wow.
But Nidalee just went back. She just recalled the base. So this is a free Baron for mouz, which is a great opportunity. There's the Ashe arrow as well. Misses once again, but the teleport in. If they get enough of a slow, there's the shield. But Aurenia, he's going to go down. Young Buck, they get the ult. Zyra trying to stop them, but the Baron, and they pick up a kill. That is exactly what mouz needed, and it's the first mistake we've seen for quite some time from Alternate. But that's a great opportunity because the best way to counter out poke is having that Baron regen. Aside from Ashe still has to worry about insta-dying. Young Buck and Xin are tanky enough that they're not going to take that much damage from those pokes. And then the Baron regen is going to be enough that they're going to be able to slowly win those long exchanges against Alternate. So great play from mouz, and kind of surprising. Alternate's been, since, very early in the game, since they fell behind, they've played a very, very safe, just, almost perfect game. And that's a big mistake there to recall.
And that mistake may have sealed the deal, because now with all this regen, now that they can push on in, it's the world is mouz's oyster for the next 4 minutes while the buff is up. They can push anywhere they like. They don't have to go with the split push distraction tactics that they've been going with. They can just all 5 group mid, and we've seen it before. Their huge forte with this team comp is if they can chain their ultimates, if they can get the big team fight, all the initiation that they want. There's still the Crucible to worry about on Zyra. The Ashe arrow not going to be nearly as effective as it had been this entire game, but when you have cleanse effects like that, they do not work against pop-ups, which is what Malphite is in a huge way.
And they have the Bulwark on their team now, which is a new item for them. That's really going to protect them a lot from some of that poke, in particular Ashe, since Ashe, she has to get those damage items and hasn't been able to itemize into defense. That Aegis upgrade is really going to help her a lot. But we'll see if Alternate can defend this. This is going to be really telling. If Mouz wins a fight here, then they could just destroy Alternate's base and win this game. But if Alternate holds this off, it might mean that this poke is a little bit too strong. Usually, though, Baron seals the fate of a poke team.
The minion wave pushed up there in top, leaving open the tower for the taking. There is a quick, huge spear onto Katarina, though. Plenty of damage. That is a bind from Zyra over the wall. Plenty of damage onto Nunu and the Xin. But with this regen, they don't have to full back. They can just take a moment, steal some jungle creeps, and get straight back to work. Jace with another shot. Oh, spear. That could have actually taken Kuja out completely.
Yeah, I think that would have been a kill on the Kuja, but you see, even with that Baron regen, they're taking a lot of damage from that poke still, so it's still being very effective, and it's interesting, Jace with a new build. You had mentioned the Muramana earlier, but Muramana, Black Cleaver, Last Whisper. Black Cleaver and Last Whisper is expected, but it used to be you would go for that Bloodthirster just for the pure damage, and also, to get a little bit of regen, but holding away from that, I just think is kind of interesting, but we'll see where they can go. Seraph's embraced the shield on Nidalee as well, so upgrading that tier is very, very strong. Mouz is trying to force this. They still have the Baron. There's the Ashe arrow. It's going off. It misses right through the middle of the team once again. We'll see if Youngbuck can catch anyone.
Alternate limbos away from the arrow, but there's Warhunter out in front, taking huge damage, brought down to half. Youngbuck still on the back line, has the ultimate still available if Alternate gets too deep into the jungle, but they will choose not to, and right now Mouz has split up. Presence in the mid and down bot. This could
Alternate's pushing in on him.
This is a quick opportunity. That is a naked inhib in mid. Mouz needs to be careful. They cannot fall back on this one, but the regen has thankfully brought them back up to near full.
Well, and you see they're still scared to push in there. I think it's less because of the Baron and more because it's a tight and closed space. It makes it very difficult for Alternate to retreat. But Prothana, another miss, and it really is less about Prothana missing and more about Alternate is doing a really great job of putting themselves in situations where it's difficult to hit those Ashe arrows. They're not walking down tight corridors very often. They're splitting perfectly as a team. So they have this nice open area, particularly since that wall's gone. They can just retreat from that dragon in all different directions and allow that miss to happen. And it's really keeping themselves alive, this great positioning so far.
Looks like may see a QSS being built up here on Ashe in just a moment, just in case you get hit with an unfortunate Zyra bind.
She should be safe from Zyra, but you're right. At the very least, she gets a lot of magic resist to protect her against the Nidalee spears, because right now, Nidalee spears are still doing about half of her life, which
also
is
true.
Kind of scary.
And now QSS now has that great upgrade path too.
Yes, that's true. You still get damage out of it.
Yes,
so it's such, I love that upgrade. You still get that defense, but you're not completely sacrificing offense and still can upgrade late. Particularly since so many AD items were nerfed, and you used to see a lot more often people would go QSS and GA, or you might see something weird like Warmogs and QSS. Now it's difficult for AD items or for AD carries to go with 2 defensive items. If you go 2 defensive items, you tend to not have enough damage. Case in point, Zubu Blaze versus Frost the other night. Graves for Frost. They actually in Game 4, the big comeback that everyone was talking about. Graves went with those double defensive items. So he only had 3 offensive items because he went for Warmogs and QSS, and Caitlyn, with the range that Caitlyn has in Caitlyn's late game, just easily out DPS'd him.
Crazy. And now as hitting down to the 38th minute, starting to see some champs hitting that golden level 18. Warhunter is there, Metal X is there. And very soon we're going to be starting seeing the rest of the champs hitting to that level cap. But nearly everyone's already got their level 3 in their ult. So there's a really, really short cooldown on that Ashe arrow, short cooldown on that Caitlyn snipe. And Lee Sin's actually level 13. You got
Ashe is going to
level
go for
15.
it.
Ashe arrow hitting Aranea, and that is the Youngbuck ultimate. I don't think he actually hit the Lee Sin on that. Only got 1. There is Zyra ult keeping Prothana busy, but that is a lot of damage coming in from Mouz. Xin Zhao goes down. Kirk trying to 1v1 War Hunter. That is a Caitlyn down. That's
great
a
flash
down.
from
Nice
Ashe.
flash, and a Zonia is coming in from Katarina.
Nidalee does take down Malphite, and for Elnord, he's going to try and see if he can pick up anything else here. Cat's in a dangerous spot. If he gets that spear, he could maybe pick it up. He goes for it, but the flash from Kuja. Kuja just flashed right in front of that spear, and Prothana is trying to chase them down right now. But the Q from Arianai, he's going to be able to pick up that kill, and they back off. Another spear going off, and slowly Alternate turned around this fight.
RNA with the ward over the wall, still hungry, and as Warhunter with the ultimate backup, RNA has to flash away. Spear being juked by Cat, but the pursuit is still going, reuniting with Ashe here in the top river. Frolord, that bush is warded. Volley keeping everyone behind. RNA goes down. 100 safe double kill for Prathana.
Great play from mouz there to turn that around. Alternate, it looked like they were maybe going to be able to turn that around. It was a one fight for mouz, and Alternate did a hell of a job with Nidalee and Lee Sin to get that. But mouz, finishes it off in the end. They get a couple of kills, but they didn't get the objectives that they wanted to. They want to be able to win a fight and have enough time to take those objectives, but because Nidalee and Lee Sin dragged that on for so long, it meant that there was no benefit to that last one fight. So really nice job from both teams. I thought it was interesting. You saw the Ashe arrow hit, but again, it goes to showing how Alternate is doing a good job of positioning for these fights, because even though Ashe arrow almost hitting Zyra there, even though the Ashe arrow hit, it was in a blind spot.
Yeah.
And Alternate was very split. Youngbuck had to ult in, and he didn't even hit anyone because he was trying to go for it, and they didn't have vision. Yeah, he got one, but not exactly what they wanted. He was already low from the poke. If it was a nice vision area and they'd hit someone with the Ashe arrow, that would have been an easy fight for mouz, but Alternate had really good positioning to stop that. But here you see the Baron going down from that last fight. mouz in a great position once again in this game.
And War Hunter playing the role of the yummy bait, keeps everyone from Alternate
down,
ready and away from the Baron. There's Arnia with a ward. Wants to clear the gap, shielding it over, but a Shunpo to the minion line.
Caitlyn and Lee Sin were both pulled over here, and it looks like they might just tank the turrets. So they were pulled way away to get after that Cat, and now they're going to be able to take some quick damage, but they back off. They're a little bit concerned. They don't want Prathana to die. A spear almost hitting, great dodge there, so they have to watch out that they can engage on her, but nice play from both teams.
Playing it safe. Granted, you had an amazing fight. You got the Baron once again, but you cannot give it up at this point. And basically, the Baron, the first time around, was basically done on a misstep. You do not want to do it in response and give the game back to Alternate at this point. War Hunter with the DFG onto Realm Lord, but cannot follow up to get the benefit of the full active. War Hunter kicked behind by Arnea, throws down the ultimate. Anyway, Realm Lord will go down here, but there is the shield coming in from the staff. War Hunter now makes it back. The rest of mouz come to reunite. The Q from Caitlyn almost takes out. There is the ultimate block. The shot. Kuja safe. Q from Arnea actually misses. Twin Shadow trying to find the ghostly grasp of Lee Sin, and he's in a very bad spot right now. Young Buck waiting for the slow, gets it before he hops in the bush. There is all of the damage right over. Shield to a ward. Speed buff keeps him safe for just one more second.
I can't believe that mouz was able to get Katarina out of there. That was a really great play from War Hunter and the rest of the team in particular. So using the Zonias, getting back to his team, the body block for that Caitlyn ult, and it all works out for them. So really just great positioning from mouz in that situation. Now they're pushing down. They have to wait out for Cat and Nunu, but they know it's still a 3v3 here, so they're okay with fighting without him.
Jayri caught by the volley. Young Buck and Scar still out front, being the good tanks, being the good front line. Katarina and Nunu now pushing up in the mid. They will get some damage on the mid tier 3. This is a very effective push coming in, and so much damage going down on a tier 3 turret. Zyra ult popping up 2 members of mouz. There's free damage on his in, but nice arrow keeping Metal X busy. Young Buck out in front. His ultimate is almost up. If they can just kill a few more seconds, they can turn the fight back around on the alternate, and there it is, straight up on a Realm Lord. Immediately melts upon landing on the ground. War Hunter grabbing that one, and now the bot inhib will go down with no Nidalee to protect it.
Not only the bot inhib, but the other inhibs are vulnerable too, because there's a big push in mid. Q in from Lee Sin. He's actually trying to force this, and Caitlyn's doing a lot of damage at this point in the game. He's actually almost taking down War Hunter. Can't quite grab it. He tries to get the net over to War Hunter, but can't take it. And mouz backs off, but they did get that mid turret as well. So another exposed inhibitor. They do have to watch out. Caitlyn late game is just absurdly strong. He has a lot of damage right now, and now he's going for that Warmogs to finish off that build. But Mouz, if they keep playing the way they are, then they should be able to grab this.
I imagine that Mouz's mid inhib has been open and naked for how long, and it still has really yet to be pressured ever since that tower went down. And that kind of speaks to how well Mouz has actually been navigating themselves around the map. They're out split pushing, out alternate. It's crazy.
Yeah, they are doing a good job keeping all the lanes pushed with Warhunter. And in particular, like you said, that mid turret, Alternate never really had an opportunity to push it because it was a dangerous spot for them. They were keeping themselves out in the open, and that was allowing them to win the exchanges. But now Mouz is just a little bit too strong. We'll see if Alternate can get that poke going again, but they've lost 2 Barons in a row. This Baron's still up. It will go down from these guys shortly. Yep. But there's a Dragon as well, and that's really just quickly brought the game into Mouz's favor.
Yeah, the Baron buff should be going away in just a few seconds. Wait for the
second
fall.
Warmogs for Xin.
Oh, man.
As long as he's just making sure he takes all of the shots, like he's just Secret Service right now. He's going to be diving in front of Ashe all day, and they're never going to be able to scratch him.
Baron comes back up at 4730, so keep an eye on that mid.
It's 4,300 HP if you can't read that.
Hit that C button. Let's see the full stats. I just want to get a look. 4324.
Yeah.
And that's really the only stat you need to look at this point. You got 173 armor to boot. That's huge.
Yeah, so he is very beefy at this point. It makes it very difficult for Alternate to take him down, and that's going to give them that strong front line that sets up the rest of their team. They do grab the blue very easily, and if they get an Ashe Arrow, that could just be GG.
Yeah, I've the Crucible doing a little bit of work, but with so much damage that came in from the Baron buff earlier, and the rest of the team, War doing way too much damage.
Caitlyn's out of position, though.
Caitlyn is away from the rest of the team, could actually be sandwiched away. That is the Lee Sin doing some jukes in the middle of the fight. But Alex, he has been found. Zyra ult going down, keeping the Xin popped up, but that is the plan. Have the Xin take all the damage. The rest of the team can run amok. Metal X has to go back over the wall, but the Nunu ult from the other side manages to help finish it off. Double kill for the Ashe so far. Young Buck 1v2ing. He's got no worries right now. Shut down. Nidalee does take down the Katarina, but there's Prathana with plenty of damage. Kerp is nowhere to go to. Pharrell Lord, can he make it back to base in a very big struggle, but it is a 1v4. I don't think Pharrell Lord can defend this. I'm pretty sure this is game right here.
That's going to be GG. Pharrell Lord flashing in, trying to pick up what he can, but Mouz picks up the win. Great play from them all around. Alternate, it looked like they made a turnaround there. They were down 4-0. They were down, 4,000 gold, 7 minutes in, and then they brought a full turnaround. It looked like they were going to be able to win that game, but that last fight in particular, you saw Caitlyn got off some quick damage with her ultimate onto Ashe, but that's not very significant. You know, she gets some quick damage onto Ashe, but Ashe was still very safe because of the Nunu. They had great frontline protection for Ashe, and Caitlyn was not in position to be attacking that last fight. She got a couple of hits off, but you saw she was always kind of scared because they could easily engage on her. She was completely split from her team because she went for that red, and being split for that red meant they didn't really have much of a chance in that last fight. And it was just the AoE that they had and the CC that they had with that Ashe that really worked out for them. And also that tanky Xin. Xin was probably MVP for both games.
Pretty much.
Because of the pressure he put on mid, but then also those early fights. He was just such a beast.
Yeah, that last fight, you saw Xin taking everything. He was the first one to go down because when you have a tanky champ like that on your front line, you're forcing your opponent to deal with them first. If you want to get to the creamy, gooey caramel center of our team, which is Ashe, you have to get through Xin first. You have to get through Malphite first, and that is a very, very rough chocolate coating.
No, it's tough. They were very tanky, and they didn't really have enough damage to deal with him. So, really great play. Alternate almost working that poke team. Mouz takes it though. We did see some flashes of brilliance from Alternate though, and it's going to be interesting to see if they can make it into the Season 3.
Yes.
Both of those teams once again are in the Season 3 EU qualifiers that are going to be next weekend for the EU side. This weekend is the NA side. Mouz looks very good though.
They do.
It's going to be interesting to see what they can do. I could definitely see them taking it.
I am pleasantly surprised by Mouz. It is great to see. Also some lesser known teams really get their shine and also go up and actually get wins off of some of the more established teams, but like Alternate. But here, Mouz winning it 2-0. They are now the current kings of the hill here on Killing Spree, $300, and we will see who they go up against next time. But for now, we are done. Thanks for joining us, and hey, we will see you guys next time.
Thanks. See you guys next time.